Welcome back to the Real Mr. Mom. I'm Seeds, and today we'll be talking about, let's say, the holidays, and it's beginning to look a lot like depression. So in past video, I talked about, let's say, the more sensitive moments in your life, in your year, that depression can get you in. I say Thanksgiving's just around the corner, and then we got Christmas after that. So again, I thought it'd be appropriate to kind of do a reminder video for those who are, I say, suffering from mental unhappiness and depression and anxiety. So one of the things for me, anyways, is that with the holidays coming up, it's really important to try to make new traditions. That's one thing I've found is that some of the pain that I've suffered from is just losing the many traditions, and let's say family traditions of what I grew up doing. Because of my pain, and then also too just the absence of my twin at the dinner table, just as a highlight of that pain. And again, so one of the things that I try to do is kind of give myself a time, probably at the beginning of the day, to mourn. Just be away from my family and say be in my bedroom or whatever, and just kind of let out that absence and mourn the fact that my twin isn't there. But like I said, it's important to plan for that, because if you just want it to happen, a lot of times people start showing up, whatever, you're going to probably shut down. I say I shut down for many, many years about my sadness and depression. A lot of times it really ruined holidays for me, because I'd get all excited and then the day would come and I'd be depressed, and my anxiety would kick in because I was depressed. And so I would end up being I'd be really depressed because I was depressed, and again it was just this vicious cycle of how do I, and then again too I started getting anxiety when the holidays were coming up, because I knew that cycle, and that's the other thing too, and this is something that started, say following my twin's death, that the first set of holidays was that I want to say, and again too it happens around our birthday and the day he was killed, where I think it's about a week out from holidays, I usually start being overly, I won't say overly anxious, but my anxiety starts kicking in a little more. I started being on edge a little more impatient. And things just feel overwhelming. They feel very bleak. And the interesting thing that's been going on for, say 15 years now, is that a lot of times, like I said, it just kind of creeps up on me. And so I'll just start noticing myself being on edge, and literally I'll just be like, what the heck is wrong with me? Why? And then I'm like, oh, okay. In a couple of days, it's, Christmas, it's Thanksgiving, it's our birthday. And so, again, too, it's just really important to be aware of that, so that you can healthily get it out. And then also, too, I think for myself anyways, understanding why I'm on edge, it makes it easier for me to not be on edge. But that's, I think, one of the horrible things about depression and anxiety, is that if you're not self-aware of it, it's extremely defeating, because it's one of these things where I've been down this road so many times. You just feel like, do I really have it in me to make it another 20 miles? And so it's really easy to just feel like you're never going to defeat it, because you've won so many times, and you just assume your depression is going to get the best of you one of these times. But for myself, when I realize it's the holidays coming up, I'm a little more okay, I can get my feet under me, this is why it's bothering me. And so that's one thing I found, is once I realize the source of why something's bothering me, once I realize why it's especially difficult for me to deal with the day, day in and day out challenges, it does bring me peace. I say that was one of the things that helped me with, I believe I've talked about this before, but a few years back, I dropped 30 pounds, and I was like 140 pounds, and I was essentially a skeleton walking around, and I actually thought I had cancer. And lo and behold, it was actually, I didn't find this out till like 3 years later. I was able to put a little bit of weight on, but I was pretty skinny for many years. And after, I think it was like 4 years, I ended up discovering I had a stress ulcer. And so actually, after I found out I had a stress ulcer and I started taking antacids regularly, I was actually able to put on some weight and be healthier, and actually get control, because until then, how I describe the pain from a stress ulcer was it felt, what a stress ulcer is that it creates an enormous amount of acid in your stomach. and like acid burns, and so yeah, it's pretty much what it felt like. Was it my insides were burning. But the thing that really kind of gave me some relief was once I realized what it was. So for the 3 years I didn't know what it was miserable. Not just because of the physical pain and not just because of the physical ramifications that I couldn't put any weight on. So I felt out of control in that manner. But it was also extremely depressing just because I didn't know what it was. I was kind of, shooting in the dark with trying to figure out what it was, and I actually thought it was celiac disease, and I went off gluten for 3 years. Thank the Lord it wasn't celiac disease. I love gluten. It's amazing. But yeah, and so again, just knowing the nature of what's bothering you and why it's bothering you is extremely freeing. So again, as the holidays are coming up, I just really encourage people who are suffering from traumatic loss or know somebody who's suffering from a traumatic loss, to just kind of be alert, and to be aware that, if your loved one is on edge or if you are on edge, just to be aware of it's probably has something to do with your traumatic loss and the holidays coming up, because it's usually, for most people, that's usually when you're going to see loved ones. That's usually when you're going to get together, and again, that's just going to be a highlight that loved one isn't there, because there's, I say, an empty seat at the table. It's really easy to see what you're missing when you see everything you have in front of you. So again, it's just important to prepare for that, and then also to try to figure out what you can do to make the best of it. And something my wife and I are trying to do this year is do what we can do. And so I know with everything going on in the country, it's going to make it a little more difficult. But again, it's just one of those things where trying to form new traditions, trying to form new ways of bringing happiness into the home, and to do your best not to highlight your loss, but just to highlight what you've been given. And so especially, on a day of Thanksgiving, us giving thanks for what we've been given, that's something I'm going to go into to try to do, is, like I said, is give myself that time to mourn, but also just to reflect on what I've been given, and to not be what's the word, resistant to feeling happiness, to feeling like it's okay for me to take joy and to celebrate what I've been given and what I'm thankful for. And so again, too, with Christmas coming up, that's, again, something I can focus on is that sense of giving, that sense of bringing joy to my children's faces and my wife's face. And so again, it's just important to prepare for that. And again, especially if someone's, lost someone recently, or is going through, an intense traumatic set of events, I think it's really important to do your best to not let the holidays come and go. Because I think that once you start to form those, bad traditions of again, not, like for example, it's something I still, to this year, struggle with truly celebrating my twin and my birthday, and truly, having a warm get together and mourning my twin's death. A lot of times those days come and go, and I'm just left wishing I had done something more substantial just to celebrate our lives together, and then again to properly mourn and remember my twin on the day he was killed. But again, it's just important to be proactive and to do your best to make the best of what you have, because I think that once you start having less than motivated mentality towards holidays, that's gonna sadly probably become your new tradition. And it's really important to not create more painful events than you already have, to not create more painful association with the holidays. You might fret the holidays because of that lost loved one, but then you also might fret it because of the lack of good traditions, of get-togethers, of just quiet nights of not celebrating. And so it's really important to put forth that effort and really try to figure out what do I need to feel happiness in that. And it might be having certain people over, it might be having nobody over. But again, to not feel any sense of guilt, to do what you need to do so that you can truly embrace the joy that the holidays can bring. That's one of the things that annoys the heck out of my wife. What I do is a coping mechanism is that I live in Montana, and so it snows a lot out here. And so one of the things I have a habit of doing is once it starts snowing out here and there's white everywhere, where I start playing Christmas music, and This year, I think the snow first hit in like middle of October, and so my wife got home and I was blasting some Christmas music, and she started shaking her head, and I'm just like, well, I mean, the reason that I like to play Christmas music when it's snowy out is that I get to tell myself it's the holidays, even though it's not really the holidays. But it allows me so that the icy roads and the bad driving conditions and the sub-freezing temperatures don't bother me as much, because I kind of convince myself that it's that time of the year. And so I just, kind of the kid inside me kind of comes out. And so I can kind of turn that into a positive. I might see some bad conditions about to drive in it, and it might take me 5 times as long to get anywhere. But I got that music blasting, and I just kind of tell myself it's that exciting time of the year. And again, so it's just, and that's something too that has really been a blessing for me, specifically for Christmas, and really getting excited about it and being able to celebrate it and not let my pain take over. Is my wife and I, we have 4 kids. And but again too, that's something that I wish I'd gotten a handle on it before, because before I had kids, I used to drink a lot around the holidays, trying to manufacture some type of false happiness, and a lot of times that ended up ending the night, wallowing in my depression and sadness, because it was an artificial form of happiness, and so I wasn't really able to enjoy it. But again, that's just something that I hope and pray that everyone can push past their pain, and again, plan for it, but also allow yourself to celebrate these family get-togethers and holidays, because again, it's just something where having something to look forward to is a very uplifting thing. It's a motivating thing, and so if you start removing these things, even subconsciously, like I said, you don't have to have this overtly pessimistic outlook on the holidays because your loved one's not here, but even just subconsciously, quietly, internally, you might have a negative thing, because again, it's just a highlight that they're not here. And again, too, giving gifts, you're just thinking, what would I have got my loved one, and what would he or she have given me, and so again, it's just really important to you can think about those things and again feel sad, but the biggest thing that I found is just to not let it become predominant, to not let it become the majority of the time. Again, to plan for it, to get it out. Again, even not fully explain everything, but just tell your significant other or whatever that you might need 10 or 15 minutes, or maybe a little longer, whatever, but to healthily get it out, and to just feel that pain and let it exist, because I feel like suppressing it and trying to hide it, it does multiple things to you. A lot of times, like I said, it prevents you from getting it out in a healthy manner. So unfortunately, if you continue to suppress it, it will eventually come out involuntarily, and that's the worst. That's what happened to me, was that I involuntarily my pain started to seep out in my behavior and my moods. I would get very, very quiet and distant, and again, it makes you, it feeds that sense of loneliness. It just makes you more alone, and then once you're there, it's just really hard to find your way back. So again, it's just important to do that, and then also to again, I've gone through many years with missing out, and again too, it's just something to where for myself, there's that I want to say cheesy saying of they'd want you to be happy, and again, I think that it's true. It's a true statement, and I don't think it's I think that people who are suffering from traumatic loss are quite aware that their loved one would want them to be happy, but a lot of times when somebody external says that to you, you feel even more unhappy, because you feel that sense of, yes, they'd want me to be happy, but I'm not, so I'm failing them. I'm falling short of their wishes, and again, so that's just going to feed your sadness. But again, it's just important to really think about that. They'd want me to be happy, and again, just try your best to remember the good times, to remember your best memories, to remember good holidays. That was one of the things that my twin and I did, and that I started to do with my oldest son. Is one of the things that we did whenever we were together for the holidays, was around Christmas time, was we would play Halo. I remember some of my best memories around Christmas time was my brother and I beat the first and second Halo, And so just this last about a month or so, my son and I played Halo, and we beat the first one. So I'm looking forward to playing the second one with him. But again, it just feels really good because it's just like something that I wish I could continue with my twin, but I can't. And so finding an alternative where I can create a bond and create good memories with memories I shared with my twin is a way of me reliving that and revisiting that bond and that love that we had for each other. But again, it's really important to self-reflect and be aware and to prepare for the holidays and allow yourself to feel joy and happiness. And then also too, if you know somebody who's suffering from depression and mental unhappiness, to be prepared to tread softly. You don't want to push the situation, but again, just let them know, hey, if you need to talk, if you need some alone time, I'm there for you, and to really just encourage them to feel their pain and feel that sadness, but also to make a time for that, but also make a time for joy and happiness, because again, it's just something where one thing I've learned is if you don't try to accomplish something, you're not going to. It's if you don't try to succeed, you're going to fail just by nature. So again, if you don't try to feel happiness and to beat your pain, it's going to beat you. It's just the nature of it. But as always, good luck. Good night.